I did it! Ow! 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 Mommy! 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 Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yay! Happy, happy, happy. Happy, 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 happy. After talking about bad episodes, or banned episodes that are kinda good but cannot air in our political climate, we got 2 good episodes. Unfortunately, the seasonal rot apparently sets in after this. Or does it? Doesn't mean there weren't bad episodes before, but many people say if you want to differentiate between the good era and the bad era, then the 2-parter is a good start-end point. Don't worry, we'll get there, and this intro is long enough as is. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about Family Guy, or more specifically, Stewie Griffin and his mother Lois, and the show's 100th episode, or episodes, because we got a 2-parter on our hands. 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. Sorry, I didn't think Time Warner was gonna let me use the ATHF song, so I had to do it myself. So let's discuss. Early on, Stewie was defined by his genius-level intellect and his murderous tendencies, while also having all of the behavior and attitude of a typical baby, like in Chitty Chitty Death Bang, where he believes his first birthday will involve him being put back in the womb by the man in white, aka the doctor who delivered him.
He failed to thwart my escape into the outside world, and now, 1 year hence, he's returning to rectify his mistake and put me back in the womb.
But he never questions why Meg and Chris didn't get a visit from the man in white. Maybe he thought the man in white was intimidated by his geniushood. Look, I really don't know, I'm just spitballing here. And when he tries to go to the airport to avoid him, he still acts like how a child would act in such a situation.
I require a window seat and an in-flight Happy Meal, and no pickles! Oh, God help you if I find pickles.
You don't like pickles? Damon Salvatore has words.
Come on, Mom, you don't like pickles? What's wrong with you?
Now, why does Stewie want to kill Lois, perhaps his most trademark trait? This I've always wondered, but I think the biggest reason is, besides it being funny, he views her as the biggest threat to his plans, especially since she is a housewife, so she would be around him more often than the rest of the Griffins. For example, in the pilot episode, she took away his mind control device, thinking it's a toy, and he spent the whole episode planning on killing her in order to give her her uppance.
Eggplant. What on earth was that?
What the deuce are you staring at? It's tuna fish.
Until she just plain old gave it back.
Oh, you just want your toy back. Okay, here you go, honey.
Yes, well, victory is mine!
However, these elements were gradually phased out beyond the occasional episode or joke. Stewie went from wanting to kill his mother to just hating his mother. Like Stewie Loves Lois, where Stewie finally starts to love Lois, after she rescues Rupert and makes Stewie a great lunch to celebrate, until Lois feels suffocated and puts a stop to it. Or The Hand That Rocks the Wheelchair, where he extracts his evil side and puts it into a clone that's basically Stewie with no conscience. Which, to be fair, was not triggered by Lois, but by him realizing he's gone soft. But yeah, there came a certain point when Stewie went from a murdering evil baby who wants to take over the world to a maybe not closeted kid who talks wise because he knows nobody can understand him but Brian, unless the episode or the plot calls for it. Oh my god, do I talk about the one where he says the F word at church? Still, you kinda have to wonder, what if Stewie actually succeeded at killing Lois? What would happen then? Well, let's discuss how they put this side of Stewie to rest, starting with Stewie Kills Lois, part 1 of the 2-parter. It's Lois's birthday and the whole family has taken her out to dinner.
Thank you, everybody. I know it's a little self-centered, but this is my favorite day of the year.
No offense, Lois, but tell that to your future self when Peter throws you a surprise party and calls you a plow horse in front of your whole friends and family. The family gives her gifts, but Meg, Chris, and Peter give her normal, cheap stuff, like stocking stuffers.
Lionel Richie's Can't Slow Down?
Great album, Lois. Great album.
No offense, but why does he look like Bob Ross's twin? Not complaining, I'm just curious. And also, he kind of looks like the boss from Office Space, I'm sorry. And finally, we come to Brian, who rather than give her something cheap they probably all bought at Walgreens on the way to the restaurant, gives her something actually awesome sauce. Cruise tickets.
What the hell? Hey, what is this? We agreed on a $20 limit. We set a cap, you jerk.
Are you trying to make us look bad?
Yeah, I still like to think they all just went to Walgreens on the way into the dinner. Imagine, they would have Lois in the car, like, Lois, just stay here and cover your eyes. That would be hilarious. Peter is upset until Lois points out that there are 2 tickets, meaning that as her husband, she can bring him.
What?
Well, yeah, you didn't think Brian meant for me to go with him, did you?
Great. This is a bigger waste of time than Ringo's songwriting.
So, you just expected Lois to take you, why exactly? Especially since we see their bedroom on the cruise and it was 1 bed. Wasn't played again, Brian, in episode? Did you not learn your lesson? Did you not make peace with the idea that she's married and she doesn't like you? That way, while Peter and Lois go on the cruise, Brian will be babysitting the kids. Can't have Herbert the pervert doing it this time around.
Be good till we get back, and Brian, stay out of the cat box. Stay out of the cat box.
But no, I'm not a fairy. Stewie is excited he'll get to go on the cruise too, and he has a whole itinerary planned.
An hour from now, I'll be surrounded by seamen. Sperm whales and seamen.
Maybe Tom Cruise will be there too. I heard he has Seaman on his back. But Stewie, you can't go on the cruise until you answer my question. What is your name?
Stuart Gilligan Griffin.
What is your quest?
I'm off to sea.
What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Ooh, a swallow.
Doesn't answer the question, you're stuck on land. Brian has to break it to him that because he couldn't answer my riddle, Peter and Lois are going on a honeymoon of sorts, which means no children and no babies.
Bye! 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 Bye!
I actually think that's my favorite Peter joke, if not my all-time favorite joke in the show. Me and my sister actually made it an inside joke between us for a little while. Stewie is disappointed and swears he'll do something about it, even if it involves the movie Lake House.
See, the mailbox is like a time portal. Everything Keanu Reeves puts in there, Sandra Bullock gets 2 years later.
Why does this remind me of that one episode of Solar Opposites? Stewie, are you gonna wear women's eyeshadow and then try to kill people? And marry a blind woman? On board the ship, Peter makes a big mistake by doing stuff on the poop deck. Guess what it is? Because I am not allowed to show it. But apparently the real reason it's called that is because it comes from the French word la pulpe, or la poupe, which means the stern. And that part of the ship is also called the stern.
She knows she untied her bikini. Women don't forget those things.
Well, will you go over there and pour a cold drink on her back?
No.
Will you go over there behind her and yell fire drill?
No.
Despite that little hiccup, Peter and Lois are enjoying the cruise, but then they have an argument about Philip Seymour Hoffman.
What? No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was, honey. It was Philip Seymour Hoffman.
I know that guy. He was in Hunger Games. Hunger Games, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hunger Games, yeah, yeah, yeah. But while Peter and Lois are having a good time, Stewie is angry that his parents left him at home with those dumbasses. Which, yeah, he is a baby, but no offense, Stewie, you saw they only had 2 tickets. What makes you think they would take you over anybody else? What, were you gonna sneak into the suitcase or something? In response, he decides to hurt Lois for the quote-unquote harm she caused him, but not Peter. Okay, then maybe it's because it was Lois's tickets because it was her birthday, but hey.
And then what are you gonna do?
Let's see.
You gonna shower her off after all that candle wax?
No, I'm gonna keep her filthy.
You know, I hate to say it, but I think Stewie might have the same feelings for Lois that Stan and Haley have against their opposite-gendered parents, especially considering the spanking subplot from Peter's 2 dads. However, Brian points out that Stewie is all talk, and for all of his wishings of killing Lois or world domination, he never actually follows through.
And then you're gonna do what you always do. The minute Lois walks through that door, you're gonna forget all about it, beg for your apple juice, and fall asleep.
which I might be repeating myself, but I think this makes sense. I have to remind y'all that Stewie is a baby. Yes, I know some of you might not have noticed, and most of the time, this is his version of a temper tantrum. Like having big emotions he doesn't know how to deal with. Again, most of his problems with Lois go back to her being his mom, and dealing with typical kid stuff, like having to eat broccoli, no toys at the table, walking in on her and Peter doing the nasty, but reacting to all of it much like an evil genius. Still, it's easy to forget sometimes that Stewie is a baby, mentally and physically. And honestly, kids aren't serious 9 out of 10 times. They're just angry and they need to cool off. Unfortunately, Stewie realizes Brian has a point, so he resolves that once and for all, he'll kill Lois and follow through.
Rupert, I've been all talk. So much time wasted. Well, no longer. Lois is a dead woman.
And keep this in mind going forward. On board the ship, Peter and Lois are at the captain's table. Out of curiosity, does anybody know how to get seated there? A friend of mine, who may or may not be me, might be taking a cruise this summer, and I need to ask around for that one friend. It's not Catherine either. Catherine lives on YouTube. After the captain is done telling stories, Peter gives one in return.
Right, I got one for you. So me and Lois are driving up to Vermont to get this abortion.
Peter!
Hey, hang on, Lois, don't ruin it.
Peter, you can't do that. I already talked about that episode, albeit not about that other time y'all went to Vermont. At least they went to Vermont for the right reasons that time around.
So we turned around and went home, and 2.5 months later, our daughter Meg was born.
Wait, is that why they hate Meg? Where kinda like Summer feared? They saw not aborting her as a sign of resentment or her ruining their lives, and never went back for another surgery because they just thought it was a sign, and it opened up their eyes, they saw the sign. But while with Summer, Beth and Jerry obviously never resented her, Peter and Lois aren't them. That's kinda sad if that is the case. But wait, why did they wait until like the 3rd trimester? I'm sure you would have known by then. Were you that damn indecisive? The whole scene leads to an argument that ends with Lois marching off to go to the front of the boat. Look, I don't know boat terminology and I'm too lazy to Google. Meanwhile, Stewie has rented a speedboat, and likely also a ski mask getup. Why is he wearing that ski mask? Because he's not skiing! And he ends up on the boat. Somehow. I mean, y'all watch Transformers Prime.
Which is located where?
Now? Who knows? It's a ship. It moves.
Unless, unlike Scream Gina George, Stewie just used Google or math. Stewie sneaks on board and meets Lois, intending to give her just desserts. Ha ha ha, yeah, just desserts. Ha ha ha. Let's just watch the scene.
Oh, there's a very simple answer to that. You drove me here, Lois, with all the indignities I've been forced to suffer day in and day out under your matriarchal tyranny.
At least he said Thesaurus words. That she'll die not understanding. Stewie gets to work and shoots Lois like enough times to leave no usable meat if somebody decides to flambe Lois. I don't know. I am thinking logically here. Too bad I'm not allowed to show any of this because I had jokes to make. Instead, I'll tell you that on each cruise, at least one person dies to the point where there's actually a morgue full of bodies under the ship. And depending on when this video comes out, I may or may not be in Vegas. And before Vegas made it where the windows in the hotel rooms don't open, there was at least one death a day. But it still happens, and you never know about it unless it's a super famous person or it's done in a super public way. Sorry, getting off track. Stewie is happy he killed Lois and returns home no worse for wear. A manhunt is launched looking for her, as cruise ships clearly don't have security cameras or people capable of hearing gunshots. Somehow, the police don't find anything or anything worthy of leads, and they call off the search in a very touching scene.
I'm afraid you're just going to have to accept the fact that she's gone.
See, critics, Family Guy can indeed do heartwarming scenes, they just don't find a good balance in the newer seasons. Or they go too far with it, like in Life of Brian. But I'm not surprised this wasn't a bigger deal, as in Lois's disappearance. She is the daughter of Carter Pewterschmidt, unlikely the heir to his fortune. Seabreeze doesn't get any, she had puppies with his competitor. But my point is, while I do get why it got news coverage, I'm surprised Carter didn't actually do more. Remember when Brian absconded absconded with his dog, and he had all of his millionaire buddies use their money and tech to find them. But logic leaps aside, Stewie is happy nobody knows he did it, nor suspect him. Which, no offense, nobody is gonna suspect you, sweetie, you're a baby. Did you not watch the Chucky movies? They'll suspect a paraplegic woman who is physically incapable of committing any of those murders before a little kid.
This is fantastic. Nobody suspects a thing. Ooh, listen to my voice. That sounds cool. Hello!
Now, I was curious why Stewie didn't feel lacking, I guess you could say. Normally, when they do these types of plot lines, they'll have the one character realize that, as much as it hurts, they kinda need that codependent bond with their enemy, because we wouldn't have a show or a movie otherwise. Like, deep down, perhaps Stewie realizes he misses his mommy, and he can't take it back. Like, personally, I thought they were gonna do that, like Stewie goes back in time to correct his mistake. Or that they need an end goal to give them purpose, and once it's accomplished, they don't know what else to do with their lives. Like Steven realizing that with the diamonds fixing homeworld, he doesn't know how to deal with his mental health. Or the Monarch finally getting the chance to torture Rusty as much as he wants, but not finding it fulfilling because he realizes, wow, they're both pathetic. Or the Joker thinking Batman died and realizing that without Batman, crime has no punchline, and there's no use in committing crimes if nobody's trying to stop him. I was gonna rate this as a flaw against the episode, but then I realized, well, technically speaking, he still isn't finished. Yes, his ambition is to kill Lois, but his other ambition is to take over the world. He's like Pinky in the Brain. He just completed part 1 of that plan. True, maybe it might feel a little lacking to him if Lois isn't around, especially around to stop him, but Stewie is still a long way from realizing that. Besides, he still has to hide from people that he was the one who killed Lois, which is easier said than done. Besides, have you ever had a really great day or something amazing happened to you, and then you can't tell somebody for one reason or another? It sucks, right? That might ruin his victory a tad because he probably can't fully enjoy it. A year later, Lois is still missing, but life goes on. Peter, for his part, tries moving on by going on dates, but they all end up badly. Be it sleeping with Bonnie, with Joe's permission of course, or a chick with cancer, or my personal favorite, the stick figure.
But I can give you a stick job.
That sounds...
Yes, it is very unpleasant.
I don't know what's funnier, the stick figure or the bi scene. You know what? They're both good. But I do want to know how it works. Is it like one hand goes one way and the other hand goes the other way, and then they like meet, so like there's Congress or something? That seems like it would hurt. However, outside of just showing Peter coming to terms with his wife Steph, it doesn't really go anywhere besides a really funny scene with Joe and Chris.
I want blue jeans.
You're getting slacks!
So, next scene. Meg and Stewie have been bonding, and Meg even starts taking Stewie to Mommy and Me classes, which I hate to say it, but I wish they had more moments together, like please. Unlike Chris, Meg doesn't really seem to talk to Stewie, she just treats him like a baby, and when he talks to her, she just ignores him. She's like worse than Lois. Like in the creepy Santa episode, or the Russian episode, or heck, even the episode where Meg helps him and he starts pouring attention on her. It's so weird. Anyhow, you know what does most killers in? Ignorance? No, hubris. Although I guess that does go hand in hand with ignorance, but hubris and arrogance play a big part because it breeds ignorance. Or maybe it's a byproduct of ignorance, I guess. Anyway, Stewie makes one comment that will forever damn him.
Meg has really flourished since Lois was murdered.
What are you talking about? Lois's death was an accident.
Which is just what someone who pulled off the perfect murder would want you to think.
Damn it, Stewie, you would have been in the clear, but no, you just had to go brag. And brag to Brian, who loved Lois more than anything.
Of course I didn't, Brian. Remember what you said? I'm all talk.
You did it. You actually did it. Oh God, I've really screwed myself up here.
See, that's karma. Not only did Brian figure it out, but your neck is gonna look like a trapezoid for the rest of the day. And also, you gotta hear Meg get funky with hot dogs.
You know, it's funny, from this position I can hear Meg up in her room.
Your head and Stan's head, I've always wondered, how do they not get headache or anything of the sort? Or how do they not break like this? Brian figures it out because he's the only person in Quahog who isn't a moron, and obviously he wants to tell people. But as Stewie correctly points out, how exactly would he prove it, or who would believe him?
Well, I am going to expose you for what you are, no matter what it takes.
Good luck proving that, Brian.
Or at least, how would he prove that a baby murdered his mother on a cruise ship, likely hundreds of miles away from their home? At the Clam, Peter pays for drinks for the guys, his generosity triggered because of the life insurance policy for Lois.
Bad life insurance on Lois. Did you get that right before the cruise?
Actually, I got it on the cruise. Right after we had that big fight when I said I wish you were dead, right before I never saw her again.
Okay, I can get that being a potential smoking gun, but why would it take a year for it to clear? Hey, that rhymes. I heard it's only really a few weeks or at most a couple of months. Unfortunately, Joe's cop sense starts to tingle, and he thinks that Peter murdered Lois for the insurance money, and Quagmire and Cleveland start to follow.
He's a killer like Bernie Getz. You know, the subway vigilante from the 80s? I used to do a bit about him back when I was doing stand-up.
Yeah, apparently this was a real guy. I had no idea. He was the inspiration for the Joker movie from 2019, since the director grew up in New York City when the shooting took place, and he was a celebrity at the time because New York was a crime-infested rat hole. But actually, fun fact, Bernie Getz was also arrested in 2014 for trying to sell weed to a cop. Only he didn't go to jail, and he did unsuccessfully run for mayor of New York City in 2001. So, 601. While this is going on, Brian is starting to find evidence that Stewie did it, but Stewie has an alibi.
I was at the carnival with Rupert. We won! We won! Do it again! Now I want a pink one!
Stewie, we've been playing for half an hour.
Wait, is that how Stewie sees him? No wonder Stewie hated Brian. After he quote-unquote killed Rupert, Stewie gets paranoid that Brian is gathering evidence because obviously people will believe a baby did it. No offense. So Stewie hides the evidence of his misdeeds by throwing them into the trash can outside the house. At the same time, when the guys are going to root through the trash in order to try to find some evidence that Peter did it.
Oh my God.
That does look like Peter's handwriting.
At least he'll have a patsy. Too bad his patsy won't have any coconuts. What is with me making Monty Python references this video? Well, the guys somehow don't see Stewie or his rope, they do find his pictures. And because Peter isn't the brightest bulb, and he is mentally, I don't know what you would call it, they assume he did it. Peter is arrested and brought in for questioning. Because, again, cruise ships clearly don't have cameras. Sorry, it's a bit of a pet peeve of mine. I did go on a cruise when I was in middle school, and my favorite channel on TV was the one where you could watch the other parts of the ship with the cameras, especially like late at night. I thought they were gonna make a joke about that like they did in the courtship of Stewie's father, with everybody thinking the drawings of Stewie killing Lois were really a sign that Peter was being a neglectful father, like with the camera or something. Of course, Peter says he didn't kill Lois because obviously he didn't, but he's their best suspect and the case goes to trial.
There's no doubt anymore. Peter murdered his wife.
Again, you don't scrub it for prints? You know, I'm surprised Joe figured out they burned down Mort's pharmacy, since none of the cops do something like check for prints, which I think would be pretty standard. I guess Joe learned his lesson, since this is a huge deal and then there were fewer. Peter is brought to trial.
Dad, how could you?
Hey, Dad, if they put you in jail, can we go in your room?
Don't worry, Chris. You can go for the next 20 years, if not for the rest of Peter's life. Which begs the question, if Peter was found guilty, what would happen to the kids? Dev has a shadow had Stewie realize that 24 months without his parents would be bad, and that's why he got Peter off the hook, even if he doesn't like Peter.
Oh, hell, you've learned your lesson, right?
Yeah.
All right, you're off the hook.
Oh, wow. Can you give me my job back?
No. Yes.
All right.
Like, would they go to foster care? Like in that one episode? Would Brian do what he did when Peter disappeared at sea? Don't care, because Bruce is Peter's lawyer. I'm sure he'll do some song and dance Chewbacca defense, hey, that rhymes, or something that will get Peter a not guilty verdict.
Hey, everybody. Today's the big day. That's all, Your Honor.
Good.
Another reminder I need to do a Bruce video. The prosecution says that Peter killed Lois, and Carter lies on the stand and says that Peter killed Lois.
Lois, I'm fat and I'm stupid, and I fart at times that ruin my father-in-law's social occasions, and that's why I'm never invited to them.
You pay me now?
It's okay, he's rich. He'll never be tried for perjury. However, the most damning evidence is Chris saying that Peter... I'm not showing that. Just know it involves, well, ew, Peter's nose. Oh my god, I've hated that scene ever since I first watched the episode, like, years ago. Honestly, when I made my top 15 worst things Peter has done list, I thought about including this moment because it's the one moment I hate Peter the most, because it's, like, gross. But I have a rule that I don't include cutaways. The verdict comes in, and surprise, surprise, Peter is found guilty. Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, yeah! Okay, can I ask everyone to please stop saying "oh no" in this courtroom?
But I'm not in the courtroom. How does this apply to me? Since sentencing on TV takes place at the same time as the trial, not as its own separate mini-trial, Peter is about to be sentenced to life without parole until somebody comes in to protest his innocence.
Lois! You're alive!
Mom, you're alive!
Oh my gosh, Mom!
I remember when I first saw the scene, my jaw dropped. Now, yes, everybody knows that Lois is gonna come back in some way, shape, or form, but I was never expecting something like this. I'm one of those people who spoils myself beforehand when I watch a show or a movie, as it's usually the only way I know what's going on, or I watch it like a million times. But if a director or crew can make me forget that a twist is coming, I think that's the mark of a great creative. They make me forget for a couple of minutes. Lois tells the courthouse that she's been alive this whole time, but Stewie did indeed try to kill her. And cliffhanger. Oh my god, it sucks when you had to wait a week. Good thing you have a video and Ollie Williams to bring you up to speed. With Lois kills Stewie, the second of the two-parter. Lois is reunited with the family.
You gotta tell me everything that happened. I mean, not tonight, because I got plans with the guys, but tomorrow night I want to hear all about it.
Really? You're gonna go drinking, but the same guys who got you arrested for a crime you never did? Lois once again says that Stewie tried to kill her, and she would have been dead. At least until, when she fell into the waves, she came upon a passing merman who brought her to safety. Only, don't expect Ariel. Not only because she's a teen, you pervs, but because it's not the kind of merman you're expecting.
Oh, no, thank you.
What are you talking about? I thought this was a woman's fantasy.
Yeah, but this is sort of the opposite.
Aww, he's kinda cute. Too bad this was the show's midpoint where Lois would not cheat on Peter, unless it's with Bill Clinton, but he's nowhere I could see. No offense, guys. Unfortunately, Lois suffered from amnesia, I'm guessing because of the fall or the dude's magic powers. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with magic powers like he cursed Lois for pushing him.
Ah, damn it!
And Lois ends up in North Carolina working at a fat camp.
It was my job to keep the children from eating each other. Hey, no, spit him out. Jeffrey, spit him out now.
I love this scene. Still with amnesia, Lois developed a relationship with a nice dude who turned out to be a Nazi. But Lois is too full of amnesia to know what that is.
It's remarks like that that started the Holocaust, and I know none of us want that to happen again.
Clearly you never met Eric Cartman. Literally, there was a whole episode where he tried to restart the Holocaust by getting people to watch The Passion. Lois finally came to her senses after one of the Nazis gave her a blow to the head. Her memory rushed back, and she came to Quahog as fast as possible. Strangely, this time around, the world actually accepts the idea that Stewie potentially tried to kill Lois.
So, what you're saying is we've got a homicidal baby on our hands.
Just saying, I was half expecting them to think Peter still did it, or Lois's head was fuzzy or something. But Stewie escapes before they can do anything about him, and the cops go on a city-wide manhunt. They go door to door, asking if anybody knows anything.
Have you seen this child?
No, I haven't, officer.
Wait, but wasn't Bruce did the fence? What's the use of going to him? Unless this was like hours later.
What is it?
That killer baby from the trial's gone missing.
Oh,
no. I know.
Sorry if I included this scene, but I just want to let you guys know this was Jeffrey's first appearance. Hard to believe he's now his own full-on character. The Griffins make it home in their street clothes, unless they went out searching too, so they changed, what? And Stewie reveals himself to be an evil genius.
So, it's all out in the open now, isn't it?
Stewie, how long you been all messed up and evil like this?
Forever? Where the hell have you been? But it feels like 100 episodes, give or take. Still, Stewie sorta gets his revenge on his father for subjecting him to a lifetime of idiocy.
Look, do you like it?
Yes.
What do you like about it specifically?
I like how it looks like an owl.
That's an owl? It looks like that toy from SpongeBob, like that episode where Mr. Krabs, hired Pearl and she turned the whole restaurant into a teen hangout. But the shouting attracts Joe and Brian is forced to answer. I guess it's karma for trying to gather evidence.
Make fun of his wheelchair.
What? What?
Do it! Say, ha 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 ha, you're in a wheelchair.
Ha 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 ha, you're in a wheelchair.
What's that supposed to mean?
At least Joe got off easy because Stewie shot Cleveland, and he can't get into heaven because, much like Bruno Mars, he's locked out because he doesn't have a proper credit card.
It's kind of a new policy.
I didn't see you ask the guy in front of me.
It's kind of brand new.
Oh, and I thought for the longest time this whole scenario was what Fox did to him when his show ended. Guess they did it to his family because outside of Junior and Donna, none of them talk. Even if Rollo is, or I guess was, voiced by Mike Henry, so it should be easy to get him involved in plot lines.
They're doing pretty well, huh?
One by my house, got a McDonald's right in the store.
Really? Oh yeah, Sears used to be awesome sauce, but why is it for years I thought he said Walmart? Stewie thinks the cops will be hot on his trail because a black man went missing. Am I gonna be the one to tell him? So Stewie does what he's always wanted and travels to fulfill his wildest dreams, tying up the family so they can't stop him, and forcing Brian to drive him somewhere at gunpoint. Somewhere that's green over the rainbow. But they keep driving, making fun of Joe, all that jazz. At the Griffin household, to pass the time, they make up a rumor about Rob Schneider.
Okay, how about this? Hey, did you guys hear about Rob Schneider? Somebody told me he goes down to Home Depot and pays the migrant workers to go to his house.
Well, I'm sure if the media tries to talk to him, he'll just say, Rob Schneider, derp.
Yay! We're starting a rumor!
Wait a minute. Chris, are you clapping?
Yeah!
So your hands are free?
Yeah!
Stewie didn't tie up your hands?
No.
So Stewie forgot to tie up your hands? Meaning you could have escaped at any time? That's hilarious. While they're driving, Stewie falls asleep and accidentally starts shooting up the car.
That's why I yelled. I'm watching you, buddy.
No offense, Brian, but Stewie is probably out of bullets at this point. You could just do whatever you want to him or escape. He no longer has any leverage. While the Griffins uncover Stewie's lab, looking for a way to stop him, Stewie reveals to Brian the real place they've been going to, the CIA.
All right, pull in here.
The CIA?
Wait, are you sure it's the CIA? I mean, I don't see a busted flagpole anywhere. But yeah, I like the little references. Heck, in a deleted scene, he actually runs into Bullock and Stan in the bathroom and they just hang out and talk.
Hello, Smith. How are you today?
Fine, sir. What's new?
Do you know what I heard this morning? Apparently, Rob Schneider goes down to Home Depot
and pays the migrant workers.
But before we go to the next scene, I just want to say, I'm surprised there's never been a full-on American Dad Family Guy crossover episode. True, we got that opening with King of the Hill, and we get little references and cameos here and there. Heck, there was originally a cutaway gag in April and Quahog where Lois and Francine turned out to be old friends, but it got cut for time. And yes, it's real, you can find it on YouTube. Maybe you can make the argument that American Dad isn't on Fox anymore, but the show is still produced by Fox. TBS is simply the one who has airing rights, hence why reruns still air on Adult Swim and not FXX. It's complicated, but come on, if they were able to do a Futurama Simpsons crossover when Futurama was still airing on Comedy Central, I think an American Dad Family Guy episode should not be a problem. Stewie and Brian disguise themselves as agents and end up in, I'm guessing, a control room. Stewie takes command of the world's power grid via some expert hacking, while Joe and Bullock try to stop him.
What? It's Stan.
Oh, sorry, you look sort of like someone from... Anyway, I'd drop the gun if I were you.
This got way funnier for me when I started watching American Dad. I watched this before I got into that show, so I just thought he was like a normal guy, and Stewie was making fun of how all secret agents and media, or patriots, have like really huge chins. But Stewie, come on, you should recognize Bullock. I mean, you did spend the day with him and the rest of the cast of Star Trek The Next Generation. Stewie says that he now controls the entire planet's power grid, and they will give in to his demands if they know what's good for them.
And unless you want me to send you all back to the Dark Ages, you'll do exactly as I say.
Again, that's why a crossover episode would be so cool. What if Stewie went to the CIA to launch his plan of world domination, but Stan and Bullock, and perhaps the rest of the Smiths, have to stop him, or the Griffins team up with Stan and his family, but the status quo kicks in when Stewie uses a mind wiper or something, so everybody just treats it like a normal vacation to DC. I don't know, but once again, there isn't the same legal red tape as Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss. If they wanted to, they could totally do it. Plus, Seth MacFarlane does have that pull. Stewie is now president of the world. I wonder how Stan explained that to Francine.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special message from the new president of the world.
Greetings, loyal minions.
Stewie?
But I'm surprised he didn't just stick to the US. Trust me, it makes sense later. But as president of the world, Stewie makes a lot of new rules and decrees, like St. Rupert's Day.
Brian, come here. I want you to hear my presidential address for St. Rupert's Day.
Does it honor teddy bears? And he makes a bunch of new laws, like banning direct-to-video Disney films.
Aladdin 4. Jafar may need glasses.
Number 1. Number 2.
That's understandable, but why would you ban this one? Is it that I think about this whenever I go get an eye exam? I wonder how Jafar reacted when they blew the air into his unopened eye, or dilated his eyes with the drops. Either way, I would watch this over Mulan too. And since I don't know when I'm gonna get another chance, fun fact, the voice of Jafar also played Jafar on Broadway for a couple of years, and he's friends with Busy Pop, hence him voicing Stolas' father and Blitz's father. Stewie unveils his laws to the rest of the world, and also makes a bunch of new ones, with the best one being what happens to Peter.
Anyone who sees Peter Griffin must throw apples at him.
Yeah, I'd like to make a deposit. Ah, what the hell?
It's the law, sir.
Think about the implications, like does everybody have to have apples on them? But honestly, the Monarch's plan to make Venture's name illegal was way better. But like, what's the penalty if you don't throw apples at Peter? How is it even enforceable? Speaking of, he never does anything about Lois. Why does she get off easy? Didn't he fail to kill her? Wasn't she his worst enemy? Wouldn't that be a loose end he'd want to tie up? Wouldn't like Chucky, he has completion anxiety? Why the hey would you leave her alive? Just saying, I wish they referenced that, like maybe Brian could say something like, you're not doing anything to Lois, and Stewie could be like, what's the worst she gonna do?
There we go. I made a swan. Stewie's a good leader.
Irregardless, all of the sudden, oof, looks like I'm gonna be working till the cows come home. Now, like I said above, I wish that Stewie stuck to the US rather than the rest of the world. Maybe Stewie could think about taking over the world or annexing them, but primarily stick to the US for one reason or another. Proximity, the fact the CIA could only do so much so they were forced to compromise, whatever. Plus, most of what Stewie does primarily sticks to the US, so it would just make more sense. Lois is watching his broadcast and decides she needs to take out Stewie before his reign of terror can continue.
Peter, I am not gonna stand by while other people suffer at the hands of my own baby.
But something I do want to bring up is a deleted scene I wish they were able to include. In one version, Stewie sang a Gilbert and Sullivan song about a list of people he was going to get rid of as part of his new laws, which is just people you have major pet peeves for, like thinking, they never would be missed because everybody hates them. The reason it was never included was for time's sake, although it did make its way onto the Family Guy soundtrack. I have it on my Apple Music. But I think it should have been included because, again, one, most of Stewie's decisions stick to the US. That song primarily sticks to the US. At least with the list song, it's so many people he's going to hurt, arresting them and jailing them and torturing them for the most minor of conveniences. Because honestly, outside of those three phrases and throwing apples at Peter, Peter and Hillary Swank's milk, Stewie only really inconvenienced a couple of people. Plus, it would make Lois deciding to kill Stewie, and this line in particular,
I will not stand by while you make innocent people suffer,
make more sense because she just saw what Stewie did to the US. Imagine him unleashing that on the rest of the world. But still, Lois does come to take Stewie out. Any last words? I'm sorry, what was that? Keaton? They fight, guns a-blazing. I am not allowed to show it, damn it. Okay, you know what? Instead, enjoy this picture I found on the internet. Did you like it? There's a fire, and Brian doesn't really do anything but stare. So much help you are. But then Lois seems to get the upper hand and is ready to kill Stewie once and for all, until Stewie says something that makes her reconsider.
Shoot your little baby, Stewie.
I can't do it. You're a terrible, evil child, but you're still my baby, and I could never hurt you.
Oh my god, you're such an idiot. Say that to yourself in the later seasons. It really sucks this is the one time where Lois actually had morals. Stewie prepares to pull the trigger, but then he's shot cold by his own father.
It's just been revoked.
Peter, he didn't really set you up for that lethal weapon line. It doesn't really work here.
Oh.
Which, yeah, cool on you, Peter. You go, dude. But weren't you supposed to put the dinner in the oven at 5:15? That's like a 10-hour drive to DC. Yeah, that rhymes.
Yeah, okay, Lois.
Are you listening?
Yeah.
What did I just say?
Turn the oven to 350 at 5:15. I heard it.
Damn it, Peter. Now the meatloaf is going to be shallow and pedantic. And shouldn't it have been Brian who shot Stewie, not Peter? Don't get me wrong. Peter is Stewie's father, and I guess maybe he did bring him into the world, kind of like Lois did, but not like that. But it's more impactful if Brian were to do it, because unlike Peter, he was Stewie's best friend. He actually had a bond with him up to that point, and Stewie betrayed him to be president of the world and to murder his mother. Imagine the shock. But regardless, Stewie was still a monster, but he was their son. And irregardless, Peter and Lois are upset at the loss, and they mourn him. Only it's a simulation.
Hey, Stewie, we got a postcard from Peter and Lois on the cruise.
Oof, should have guessed. The status quo wouldn't change that much. As it turns out, after Brian said that Stewie never followed through on any of his threats, he decided to kill Lois. But first, he ran a simulation to see what would happen if he really did it, and took over the world on top of that. And he realized, you know what, maybe it's best to hold off.
Not well, Brian. Not well. I suppose I'm not ready to kill Lois or take over the world. Yet.
So that means the running gag of Stewie trying and failing to kill Lois is basically over, and Family Guy is ready to move on to new and exciting stories. But Brian has some possible criticisms.
Only to find out that none of it really happened. I mean, you don't think that should be just like a giant middle finger to them?
Well, hopefully they would have enjoyed the ride.
Honestly, did I hate the dream? Or I guess this two-parter? Well, let's start with the whole it's all a dream angle. I don't totally mind it. Normally, I hate shows that have the it's all just a dream idea. OMG, I hated that one episode from OKKO about gun control. Or with Wizard of Oz, I like to tell myself that Dorothy really did go to Oz. The slippers just made it so everybody assumed she had a dream. But here, I think it works. See, the main reason most people hate It's All Just a Dream is because it makes the entire episode, movie, whatever, seem entirely pointless. Why sit through all of that when it didn't matter in the end? Plus, normally when they do it when they have a bunch of writing problems and mistakes, and they can wipe it all away with a hand wave because, it's just a dream, and there's no logic in dreams, even if that's not how writing works. Like with the OKKO episode, where it has a horribly told moral that feels kinda hypocritical considering the type of show, and most everybody is out of character for the sake of it. So why not just say it's all just a dream? And it's often a sign you aren't ready to raise the stakes or take chances, like, oh, forget everything we just said. We didn't really mean it was just a dream. But here, I think it works. We did see the episode prior to Stewie, quote unquote, going into his dream. So it's not as bad as most examples where the entire episode is a dream. In the episode, just presented a what if. Honestly, I don't mind the all just a dream angle if it's exploring a certain side of a character, kinda like here, or if it provides a good twist like in the Futurama episode with the space honey. Like if the dream encourages the character to take a chance and follow their dreams, or be better people to their families or something like that. Like, come on, A Christmas Carol did that. Or in terms of episodes, Productive Panic, where Francine had a great introspection with her childhood self over her insecurities as an artist, but then realized that, hey, even if she's not particularly good at it, she does have fun doing it, and that's what matters. Which, yeah, it's all just a dream, but it's one of my favorite modern American Dad episodes, and it makes me cry every time. And so long as it's entertaining, yeah, it might be a bit of a letdown, and I guess maybe it's a flaw, but I'll be more willing to look the other way. Now, what do I think of the two-parter itself? Well, I did love it, and it's hilarious, and I think it does deserve all of the praise it gets. It's a great what-if episode, although I don't think this is the end point of good Family Guy. For me, bad Family Guy is kind of like season 4 and 5 of SpongeBob, where true, they don't have as many good episodes as the golden era, but the good outweighs the bad, so it's still part of the good era. To me, the end point would probably be like season 10 or 11, or heck, even season 12. To me, this is the start of modern Family Guy, since while it's still mostly enjoyable, many problems that would be more noticeable down the line do begin. However, as these two episodes go, I feel like part 1 is stronger, but honestly, you could say that about most two-parters. Part 1 is usually better because they always have to establish the good, and then get you hooked, and then you spend so long building up the idea that part 2 might not deliver as much, or live up to the hype, or maybe it does. But I do have one question. What the heck was up with the cruise scenes? Some of them, except for Peter embarrassing Lois at dinner, took place before Stewie presumably ran the simulation. But at the end, Brian gets a postcard from them, and he implies the cruise is going really well, which makes me wonder, did all of those cruise scenes actually happen, or did Stewie just imagine them, or think that they were happening so that his simulation would make more sense? Or did they, I don't know. That's the only part of part 1 I wish they clarified. Other than that, besides the stuff I said in part 2, like having Stewie do more evil stuff, or having Brian be the one to pull the trigger, I do like these two episodes. It was a really great two-parter, and if you want classic Family Guy, totally check it out. Anyhow, bye!